All right, welcome to another Meetup Live event. Thank you so much for joining us. Hi, everyone. I'm Justin Lucenti. I'm one of the directors of engineering here at Meetup, joined by my colleagues, Eugene and Nick Leonard. Welcome to Meetup Live. Today, we'll share the latest news on our platform. We will discuss Meetup's engineering updates, including performance, search, and platform notifications, and also stick around at the end for a 15-minute Q&A session. First, I'll go over some of the event guidelines. This event will be recorded. You will not appear in the video though, and you'll be able to access it later. There is a mute courtesy. Your audio will be muted during the event. If you have questions, submit them in the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen, and they'll be used in the Q&A session at the end of the presentation. And closed captioning is available. To turn it on, click on the live transcription icon at the bottom of your screen and select your preference. And just a quick overview of the agenda. We're doing a quick introduction, which is what we're doing right now. And then we're going to have 3 segments to our tech update, covering performance, search, and notifications. And then we will finish up with the Q&A session. All right, so I will start it off with a segment on performance here at Meetup. Next slide, please. All right, so again, I'm Justin Lucenti, one of the directors of engineering. My focus includes various efforts across the platform, including what I'll be presenting on today, which is all based on performance. And first, we should start with a brief recap of 2021 so far. If any of you were on the previous Meetup Live Tech Update event, you may recognize this slide. Our CTO, Rajiv Ahmed, outlined how we were tackling legacy tech and performance issues throughout 2021. As a summary, many of our pages were running on an old and hard to maintain code base. This not only had an adverse effect on the performance of those pages, but in the ease of maintenance as well. Of course, this then bleeds into how fast we can iterate to bring new features to our users. Across our engineering organization, we've done a lot of work this year to begin migrating over to a more modern, standardized stack, which includes using React with Next.js, TypeScript, and GraphQL APIs. We began by rolling this out to some of our discovery surfaces, such as when you search for events, as well as the homepage experience. Those pages got faster and more reliable with better performance, especially on mobile. But in addition to that, we gained the ability to move much faster by avoiding a great deal of the complexity seen in our legacy code. Now that we've had the chance to implement and test this new tech stack, our efforts are spreading into other user-facing pages as well. So now I'd like to talk about something you're all very familiar with, the good old event page. There we go. This is an example of an event page. Internally, we refer to this as the event homepage, which has been an area of focus recently. I'm sure you've seen this before. You may be thinking, wait, these look just like the old pages. And you'd be right. We took an intentional approach with a focus on re-platforming these pages to improve the underlying technology, as mentioned in the previous slide, with a target of increased reliability, speed, and ease of maintenance. Think of this as a phase 1, which sets the stage for all of the future work, which will include product and design enhancements. There were almost no user interface changes at all. However, what we changed dramatically was the performance. This has a huge impact on our audience in 2 ways. First, the new event pages will be roughly twice as fast. This means that anyone who loads up the page has a smoother, faster experience, which has been proven to translate into better engagement. Engagement in this case means people quickly seeing their content and being able to take action, such as clicking the attend button. Second, there is a major benefit which is not as noticeable to most users. These performance improvements have greatly enhanced our search engine optimization as well. SEO, as it's referred to, is the general field of making pages in such a way they will be quickly discovered by search engines such as Google. The key to your success and the key to our success is the ability for people to find new events. Some people are familiar with us and may come straight to meetup.com to use our search interface. However, many are not, and their first search surface is from Google. By making these pages much more performant, it allows Google to have a more complete index of our events, which leads into better results with people searching for events. In short, these performance changes can help improve someone's chances of finding and attending your events. To drive the point of performance home, there's nothing better than a practical and visible example. So I'll show a short video in a moment, but first some context on this. More and more of the web is being experienced on mobile devices. So much so, in fact, that Google even considers it a priority over desktop experiences at this point. We knew that we had to address the elephant in the room. Our mobile performance has been terrible for quite a while now. This is a little test we put together showing the same event page loading on the old platform on the left-hand side against our new platform on the right-hand side. In retrospect, perhaps this wasn't the best event to use since it's from 2018, but this demonstration applies the same to any event, including 2021 and beyond. This is what the actual experience would be on a mobile browser on which the average user has a 3G connection. So it's showing the timing of the load. You can see that the new version is completely loaded 8 seconds before the old version. However, that's not even the full story. The new version was actually usable at 4 seconds versus 17 seconds for the original. That is the point at which the button was actionable. When it comes to keeping users and having them take action on your product, speed is a major factor. And we hope that this demonstrates some of the strides we've been making. By the way, if you're wondering why you haven't noticed the speed yourself yet in your own browsing experience, it's because we've just started rolling this out. I mean that literally, as in yesterday. We typically roll out changes to a very small percentage of users so we can verify everything before upping that number. Right now, we have approximately 1% of our users seeing the new version of the event pages while they are logged out, and they do see this performance. Sometime next week, we'll be at 10%, working up to a full rollout shortly after that. And there's more to come. Finally, I had to mention how we had mentioned this is essentially a phase one. Now that we are on a faster unified platform for events, it allows us to have a faster path at actually improving the product experience itself. These improvements come from our own research, as well as the feedback directly from our dedicated users like yourselves. While we don't have anything ready to show you, the path of 2022 includes us building upon these new event pages to further not only the performance, but the end user experience as well. 2022 also includes similar plans for the groups page, which you see to the right, as well as other initiatives such as optimizing our data and improving our caching, both of which will make pages across the Meetup platform even faster. I'll now turn it over to Nick Leonard for a look at what's been going on in the world of search within Meetup.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Justin, for that introduction. My name is Nick, and I'm a senior data engineering manager on the data team here at Meetup. And today I'm going to give you all an update on search. So if you joined us back in the spring for the engineering update that we had then, we did a deeper dive into group search and search in general. So I'm going to give a fairly quick update on what we've learned since then and where we're going to go in the future with search. So here's a look at the Meetup flywheel that helps us visualize the Meetup ecosystem. Matching customers' demand with our supply of groups and events is core to Meetup's value proposition. Search is a key tool with that matching, especially when users arrive on the Meetup site app knowing exactly what they want. So for all the engineering folks on the call, excuse me, here's a high level view of our search architecture. Last year, we introduced this new, more modern architecture for our search services that is centered around Elasticsearch and the greater Elastico stack. We've created search services for events and groups, and we're expanding to other areas as well, including things like topics. We also use Elasticsearch as a backing store for some of our machine learning models and other data science algorithms, and we're going to continue to build on our Elasticsearch architecture. So, what are users looking for on Meetup? In the last few days, you can see here, users have been looking for hiking, friends, social events, and of course, Halloween, featured at number 14 in this list. So hiking and outdoor activities in general, along with friends and other social type of activities, continue to be really popular search topics at Meetup. And this really aligns with our mission of bringing people together at Meetup. So if you were, as I mentioned on the previous slide, you might notice the certain spooky holiday is coming up, and this is evident in our search results. Search data can give us all types of interesting insights into how people are using Meetup. For example, if you're curious about how your Halloween planning compares to other users of Meetup, search queries can help paint a better picture. It looks like most users started their search around the end of August, and it's really ramping up here at the beginning and middle of October. These types of seasonal highlights help us better predict trends and plan our product roadmap. Here's another example of how search queries can help us understand the Meetup ecosystem. As you all shouted out in the beginning of this presentation, we can see here users across the world are engaging with search on a daily basis to help find events and groups that are passionate to them. When we launched the new search feature to more senior members of the Meetup community, we received lots of useful feedback. So these are users and organizers who have been with us for years, maybe even over a decade. The main theme being that Meetup organizers and members rely on search for much more than discovery. Discovery was our initial hypothesis rolling out the MVP of search. We found that it's also a tool that helps them find exactly what they're looking for. So here are some summaries of feedback we received when we're using this feedback to help chart a course to a better search experience. So what are we doing next? We will continue to analyze our search performance. And to do this, we're looking at a variety of metrics. We're using some of the more obvious measurements like click-through rates, average amount of search results returned, and the number of empty searches that people are getting on the platform. We're also using some data science statistical analysis techniques, such as mean reciprocal rank and map at K. Additionally, we're trying to answer product questions around inventory health based on location and category, such as what locations or time zones need more Halloween groups and events to meet the demand. Relevance improvements are also a high priority. We're taking action on qualitative feedback we've received, like we saw on the previous slide, and quantitative data we are collecting to continue to iterate on our search relevancy algorithm so that organizers and members can find what they're looking for more quickly and easily. We've already fixed a handful of painful bugs that were hampering the user's search experience. And finally, we'll continue to partner with product and design team to build out additional features for the user experience as we continue to iterate on search at Meetup. So thank you. This wraps up the search overview. And next up, I'll hand it over to Eugene with an update on notifications.
Hi, everyone. My name is Eugene. I'm the Director of Program Management here at Meetup. I've been with Meetup since April, so just about half a year. And as the Program Manager, I oversee our product and engineering projects to make sure we're executing against company objectives and key results. Um, as an added bonus, I work closely with our notifications pod, and I'm happy to give you an update on what the team has been working on, as well as what they have planned for the remainder of the year. To start off, what are notifications? So, in software application, it's a way of informing a user typically in an asynchronous fashion. At Meetup, our notifications cross various channels. They include email, push push notifications, and insight on-site, in-app on-site messages as well. We have several message types we support through various systems that have been built and integrated into our architecture, which include transactional emails. An example of that is your subscription payment is confirmed, or thank you for RSVPing to an event. We have marketing promotional emails. Those are suggested events to our members. Our third bucket is organizer and member communication. These are emails between organizers and their members, and they can also be member to member messages. And the last one is product notifications, which is quite limited today, but an example would be in app new features. So the notifications pod, they cover a lot of terrain, but to be super clear, their domain does not cover chat banners and Slack chats. Sorry about that. As for the team's roadmap, from previous quarters and through the remainder of 2021, they're going to continue on two focus areas. They're going to improve the reliability and deliverability of emails sent by organizers to their members. And they're going to improve the reliability and deliverability of emails and push notifications to announce events and groups. By improving, our engineers have actually rebuilt the infrastructure, all of that plumbing and piping that goes into powering these emails and push notifications by moving them off of homegrown systems and taking advantage of newer technologies that give us the ability to increase performance and debug future issues. You'll see we already migrated a couple areas by the green check marks shown on this slide. And by migrating both the event announcement template and the contact members tool, organizers can feel confident that their emails are being received by their members. It wouldn't be fair if I didn't give you a visual of how we re-architected the backend. This was supplied by our lead engineer, and you'll see the before and after. The left side is an oversimplified visual of our platform architecture, and the right side is what we have moved to. Again, both of these visualizations are quite simple, and they're very detailed, the ones that we did not share today. In our old platform, we had two systems that managed the application logic, and the delivery stack was divided into different tasks. These tasks were difficult to scale and manage because they were shared between different functionality, such as email and push. Our Meetup engineers also manage the push, the email sends, the A/B testing, the email templates, and all the analytics within their homegrown solution. In the new platform, you'll see the engineers segmented the functionality by each Lambda. They decoupled the logic and code, making it easier to manage and maintain. And ultimately, now when we need to scale, you can scale by an individual feature rather than shared tasks, which we had in the old system. All of this is then fed into Braze, our customer engagement platform that creates smarter audience journeys. And lastly, of no change, we continue to use our email ESP SendGrid that delivers the email to you. I hope that gave you a sense of our engineers hard at work to rebuild notifications on the back end. Meanwhile, you'll start to see some front end changes coming soon. We'll start with event announce. Now, these designs on the right are not yet live, but we'll be making some updates to our email templates now that they're migrated into Braze. We plan to refresh the designs that better match our brand, they're mobile optimized, and they feel modern. This email template in general will create immediate impact and long-term impact because we're helping members find their community. And these notifications are the lifeline of continuous engagement for our members and organizers. And lastly, we plan to build unified experiences where we can add in smarter frequency settings so folks don't feel like they're getting spammed by Meetup. These are just some of the next step actions we've unlocked with migrating our emails. And the more we optimize and enhance these communications, the better we connect our audiences and inspire members to attend events and ignite our organizers to keep hosting great events. And that's my update on notifications. I hope you enjoyed all the work we've been doing because we're hiring. Um, we have several roles open across the data team. You can check them out on our careers page. And with that, I'll turn it back to Justin for the Q&A segment.
Thank you so much. If you haven't seen the Q&A feature, please feel free to enter a question, and we will do our best to answer what we can. So let me start this off. I see a question from Troy asking if the event page is being rolled out across all browsers on desktop and in the Android and Apple app, mobile apps. So the updates I was speaking to refer only to the web. I believe the apps did on the iPhone and Android did roll out an event page update in the past 4 months or so, but that is unrelated to the performance gains I'm referring to with our new rollout. We have separate roadmaps, but we all do have an eye towards performance, but I can't speak to their performance as of right now. So that was just for web. And I see a question for Nick. Are you planning to share search data to the public via APIs?
So I am not aware of any plans to share our search data, but we will take that into consideration for our future roadmap.
Okay. I see another question here. Is it possible to comment on your development processes? For example, are you using Kanban? The teams within Meetup all use some form of Agile. I won't exactly call it sprints. Some teams use a 1-week iteration. A few of them use a 2-week iteration, but the general process is one of research. Some of that is technical research on the engineering end. Some of that is product research. And that also includes focus groups with actual Meetup organizers and members, as well as some external research. And that usually leads into these iteration cycles until we release. Usually, as I was speaking to the event pages before, we do small controlled rollouts to make sure nothing is wrong, nobody's being adversely impacted, and then we increase those percentages until we gain confidence. And that's, in general, that is usually how we release products here. Kind of an overview of an answer there. Let me look for another question. I see another one for Nick. Nick, do organizers have some way of seeing or knowing what is trending on search?
So today, I don't think that they do, but Justin, as I think you mentioned, with the upcoming release of an organizer-focused app for Meetup, we are in the middle of conversations about how we can expose more data-driven metrics to organizers to kind of help them build better groups and attract more members. So that is definitely something that's on the roadmap. As far as exactly what's trending, I don't know if that will be the specific metric exposed from search, but some of the data that we talked about today and how we kind of analyze search will probably make its way into some of those tools that we'll be rolling out to organizers.
Okay, let's see. Scanning for another question here. I saw somebody mention an emphasis on the organizer app. So we do have a separate app which is rolling out at some point for organizers to allow them to essentially do the organization aspect from their app, and it's separate than the general purpose app. That's not really anybody on this call's focus, but what I can say is that the comment essentially was saying, I'm not understanding the emphasis, and that's okay. We're trying to cater to a wide audience. Some people may use it and some people may like the web instead, and that's perfectly okay. But we are trying different things with our products. And then I believe there's a question, I'm missing it, Nick. There's a question on distance.
Yeah, I have that one. So they're asking, can you speak to how distance of an online event from a user's influences search results? That distance should not really be relevant for online events. So that second statement, agreed with you. And distance is something that we went back and forth on a little bit when we initially rolled out online events. But we do have a cutoff around about 3,000 miles for online events, just so that we kind of keep the online events within a certain set of time zones with that sort of hard setting there. But it's something we're going to be iterating on when we look for search relevancy, how we can better distinguish between online and in-person events in the search results page and things like that.
All right, I see a question for Eugene. If members have turned off notifications because they have felt spammed in the past, will the updates turn notifications back on in a new, improved way?
So our all of our emails go through a process to check whether the users have decided to unsubscribe from the notification type. So we don't turn them back on. We do basically adhere to what the user has specified in their preferences. Currently, it's really easy to go to your preferences and just turn off everything at once. So we are looking into ways of making sure that we make it more clear to a user what they're actually selecting instead of doing that bucket unsubscribe from all, and trying to place that onto our roadmap so it could be more clear to users that they don't have to unsubscribe from everything.
Thank you, Eugene. I see a couple of questions which I don't have answers to, but let me bring them up. There's a question regarding the upcoming platform allowing the merging of two groups into one group, or how recurring schedules work with network events, etc. There are not changes that I'm aware of, but we do listen to user feedback, and we have a transcript of these questions, which we can certainly take back and see and share that with product folks, for example, to see if it makes sense, how we can do it. But we don't have answers to everything on this. I apologize. And let's see another question here. For Eugene, I see one. Were there any recent changes on how new groups are announced to members?
So we are actually in the process of rebuilding a new group announcement onto the new platform. There has been some issues identified to our customer support that it has been a little bit flaky. So we are rebuilding that and making sure that the deliverability for new groups will just become foolproof.
Let's see. Okay, looking for another question here. One moment, please. So a lot of there was a question about Pro. Pro is a different level of our product when you may run many groups. That there is nothing intrinsically linked between Pro and the platform change I was referring to, think of that as two separate things. We do have people that are improving the pro product, but the platform itself, which we were moving events over to and eventually the groups over to, are not directly connected to the ways in which a workflow for a pro customer would behave at this time. Pro shows event pages and they will receive those performance gains as well. There's a connection there, I suppose. Okay, just reading through some questions right now to see what we can answer.
Justin, there was a question earlier on asking about some issues having used bit.ly links in messages to members, and I was trying to find out the answer before I misspoke. Our engineering director doesn't think that this should trigger anything with spam filters, so we would need some more information on that, but specifically it should not do that. I think if it's continuing to happen, please submit some customer support tickets on that.
Thank you. Yeah, we do a lot to try and prevent malicious things or spam activity. And sometimes the filtering can go a little bit more stringent than we would like, or sometimes there's levers that we can move. But it's all in an attempt to protect our users. But we do listen to feedback if something's gone awry. So yes, I totally agree. Please let us hear if you're having issues. Okay. Okay, I'm trying to catch up with these questions.
Someone was asking about hybrid events. So I don't think anyone here is directly running that project, but that was something we were looking deeper into. My team was doing some planning around that. Actually, the data team, we were looking at splitting RSVPs between in-person and live stream, but that has been put on the back burner for a little while we kind of focus on surfacing more COVID specific information to members when they're attending events.
All right, I see a question about private groups. I made a group private before COVID. I'm having trouble restarting the group. Is there a way to change the group back to public? The answer is no, and there's a good reason for that. Essentially, when you have a private group, it's usually private for a reason. Sometimes it's a sensitive topic and you don't want it to be public that you're a member of this. So changing the status of that group back to public would then potentially just reveal a little bit more than people are comfortable with if they thought they were a member of a private group. If there are specific things, like for example, if the group is empty and you just want to switch the status, you can work with our support staff to do that, but we do block that on purpose so that nobody has some sensitive information revealed by accident. There is a question about, will it be easier to add photos or text styling to the descriptions going forward? That is one of the things that we have been talking about, adding more of a rich text functionality, which is a common terminology, to our descriptive text areas. So that's something that we are actively talking about internally.
Really good questions and features coming in here. A lot of this we are already talking about internally. So glad to see we're aligned with folks on the call too.
Absolutely. Yeah, and there was I lost track of it. There was a question or a comment somewhere about, it was in reference to the homepage, and it essentially said the homepage is a little bit harder to use than it used to be. And that's something that we have seen in our own data internally, and we fully acknowledge that. And one of the benefits of it being on this new platform is that we can react faster, and we are essentially constantly making small changes to it. And we have further plans to try to rectify some of the difficulties in finding what used to be there easily. So there's active projects for that right now. So we acknowledge sometimes we don't quite hit the home run right away, but we keep going for it.
Yeah, and just to add a little bit onto that, Justin, that's kind of why search has been such a focus. Updating the homepage has also sent more traffic to the search page, and some of the feedback that I shared is kind of a result of that. So we're definitely collecting all that feedback and trying to act on it as quickly as we can.
There's a question about paid RSVPs. I don't quite know the answer to that. I do know that they are constantly working on our payment flow to try to make it simpler and modernize the back end to it, but I don't specifically know what the problem is that you're referring to. But if you please get in touch with us, we can file an appropriate ticket to see if it's something already being looked into. All right, with that, I believe we are getting towards the end here. And we do have a few more things that we can show in the slides if we go back to that for a moment. Before we go, please find others who share your interests. You can save 30% on your first subscription by going to meetupsavings.com. Become a Meetup organizer. We are nothing without you, and we appreciate the community so much. So please reach out and join us. And also, we launched a podcast, Keep Connected, with Meetup CEO earlier this year. Please take a moment, take out your phone, scan the QR code, give it a listen. If you haven't heard David Siegel engage with people, it is always an experience. He is fantastic at bringing out things you never knew you wanted to know. As a reminder, you can view a recap of this event in a few days on our Community Matters blog at meetup.com/blog. Thanks again for joining us, and stay safe, everyone.